Okay, so another friend request on Discord, and it almost sounds like this person um has some sort of thing. It says uh I'm working on post links to the live stream. The link itself. Also post part 2 as I do 2 streams designated as part 1 and part 2. I get a few friend requests um, that are meant to solicit some service. No, not anywhere close to being finished. Are you offering a service? Or did you just want our Discord friends because you knew? And actually, should be able to tell when they got on. Profile. Member since September 7th. Actually, well, they're generally new. They joined in September, so they've been on Discord for a year. So they're not new, but anyways, that doesn't matter. Okay, so I had 4 people here at front. I guess they just saw my please wait or whatever and decided to say, oh, he's not gonna be streaming again or whatever. That's all right. What am I supposed to be doing? I am supposed to be running redot. Running and continue with phase 1. Okay. So, oh, that's the wrong. That's the purple. The purple's the text file, the text editor. All right. So, the other method of finding the bar is bring it over to Trouserton, where his money was stolen. Okay, so you won't have to visit. I mean, he'll visit all 3 of them, but the first one of the Tri-Village area is Trouserton, and it's kind of like, I guess, I don't know really how I'm gonna do the layout. If If Bats in the Belfry is like up in here somewhere, well, be on your screen and be there. Up in there somewhere. This is as you're looking at it, anyways. Then that's where Chillington is up in this area. Right? So north of that would be Trouserton, and then down here would be Leperton. Oh, yeah. In fact, you know, what's funny? What's funny is Trouserton can actually have see, it looks like he's offering a service. In which case, I can probably disregard his friend request. I think, because I'm not really in the mood right now. You know, I'm not anywhere near where I would need any kind of services. We're still kind of preliminaries, first phase, early on, that sort of thing. So I don't actually need a service. The only one I thought of was a guy. There's a guy in the Blender channel on Libero.chat, and he was learning art, and so he was wondering if he could do something, and that's fine. That's just because it's kind of organic, and he's not a business trying to solicit business or whatever. Anyways, uh, let's go back. Okay, so he's gonna go back to the quote unquote scene of the crime. So that means that one of these villages is going to be where Max was taken, and I guess Trouserton. And in fact, here I don't know if I'll put some notes that many notes on him, but I'll do this as a separate deal. Notes on Trouserton, the best dressed people in the kingdom. But it's clear they all get their trousers from the same town. They're gonna be like all the same. All their pants are all gonna be the same. Uh, Maybe even the women. Maybe like I'll do this thing where like the upper half, like their shirts and stuff, will just be various like different things that won't necessarily go with the trousers. Uh, yeah. Uh, like they all wear the same trousers. Even the men, women, and children will wear the same trousers. Um, the women won't even wear dresses; they'll wear the trousers from the town, you know, because they have great pride in it, you know. And they might be dressed normal, any of you know otherwise or whatever, but they're all dressed in trousers as a funny thing. I could make the women's look a little bit slightly different, like a feminine version of the same kind of pants, but that would be sort of a here. Let's do this instead of the best dressed people in the kingdom. Let's do this. Um, Everyone wears trousers. Trouserton. Even the women and children. Even the women and girls. And maybe I'll make it like a joke. Maybe the thing that makes it feminine is like they're like flowers embroidered down the side or whatever. Like it's the exact same kind of pants, but like the women have like the women and girls have like these like roses or something, carnations or I don't know, you know, some sort of flower down, maybe tulips or something down the side. Anyways, even the women and girls. Notes on Chillington, a real live ghost town. And when I mean live, I mean they're all ghosts. I mean they're all ghosts. Uh, it's a town full of ghosts that you can interact with. Okay, so it's not really chilling, obviously, but Chillington is just it gives you that deal because you know it'll have a spooky vibe. Like you won't be spooked, but like when you go in the haunted mansion at Disney, right? You know the thing about the ghosts having a party and all this stuff. It'll be kind of that vein, the haunted ghost town that you'll be able to go and interact. You won't be able to touch them, obviously, but you'll be able to talk to them and you know that sort of thing. Um, I don't need any help at this moment, so maybe in the future sometime. Okay. Anyways, okay. So notes of Chillington. Notes on Leperton. Uh, originally called Leap Town because of the abundance of leaping sheep they have. Uh, but when drawing up the town charter, I actually described it up here, but they meant to change it to Leperton to be consistent with the other village. When a when a mistake rendered it a person, and now people tend to stay away. They also have a what am I calling it? Trade deal? Trade deal? I guess I could say trade deal. Let's close that. Close. Let's just close that. Shoot. That was August 25th. All this smooth slope movement and good. Wait a second. Your website. Alright. Crusher Pole is fine. Optimus. I don't know who Optimus is. I don't care about Optimus. I have all these discussions here. I mean, I get a lot of I don't need to talk to that one. Bobcat's okay. And okay. Alright, sorry, friends, let's do the friend thing and pending and ignore. I'm ignoring the friend request because all this person was interested in was selling me a service of some sort. Okay, so they also have a deal with Trouserton to supply them with all their wool for their trousers. They make woolen trousers apparently. Okay, so these are just notes, kind of what was up in here. Okay, so I just did that. It's a little thing that later on what we'll do is we'll add some puzzle possibilities. Um, because you can't interact with, I mean, other than talking, you can't interact with the citizens of Chillington because they're all ghosts. You might have to do something that for them um, in regular, form, corporeal form there, where you maybe it's an unfinished business or something. Maybe Chillington, maybe it's a way station for their spirits, and so there's a number of ghosts that live there because they haven't finished their unfinished business or something. Maybe. I don't know if I'll do that, but I might do that later on. It'll add more puzzle possibilities. And then there can also be a deal where Trouserton, uh, they're probably good at selling their trousers, I guess, but there's nobody in Trouserton left to buy them, so they have to, it's just there's just some opportunities here to like put in stuff like for puzzles and gags and things. But we are focused on Max trying to find Zanzibar. Now, okay, so the first thing he'd probably do is he'd probably go to we'll say the town council, maybe the mayor of Trouserton, and try to ascertain the whereabouts of Zanzibar by questioning them. Um, this is sort of thing like, okay, so someone that was watching uh, was mentioning that essentially I'm just working on the story. Well, in this case, the story is the game because it's choose your own adventures, right? So the actual game portion of it is still story portion. So you make a story, then you have decisions, and then you put those decisions into the dealie, and that's actually part of making the game there. So I actually have to decide what. So I know. searching for clues. I mean, there's a generic thing, searching for clues. What do we know about Zanzibar? We know that he has a pet crow. It's possible that Max and anybody else for that matter doesn't know that the crow is actually doing the pickpocketing. They just know that their money's gone and that Zanzibar's gone by the time the money's gone, and that's after they have watched one of the shows. So they know that much about him, but only that much. Um, Possible. Uh, as far as payment goes, like okay, so like if you're putting on a show, you might have to pay some money, right? Well, you'd still do that, wouldn't you? You'd still be paying the money to set up the show, but then stealing from the audience members. You're offering them a free show, maybe. I could make it where it's a double whammy, where you're not offering the show for free, but they are paying to attend the show, and then not only does he get that money, but he also gets the money that they still have on him, valuables, whatever's still on them. Do it like that because that's kind of how you would do it, isn't it? You're a con artist. You want to portray legitimacy. You don't necessarily go, here's a free show for nothing. I mean, you might, if I'm a magician, I might go up to a group of people and do it just for the fun of it. Or I might do it at a party or something. But if I'm a magician that makes money, I would book a show, I'd have to pay money for the venue, and then hope that I get whatever back in ticket sales, right? Well, in this case, he gets it in ticket sales, but he also gets a lot more than just the ticket prices, if you know what I mean. So there is that. Now, here's the thing. Does he? Okay, so this is the thing. This is like I have to come up with the stuff, right? I'm not complaining about having to come up with it, but it is what's taken so long. But like this is like a logical deal. This isn't like a little minutia detail thing, like breaking into some place where you kind of have an idea, you have a general idea. In this case, I have to think of um I forgot what I was going on. But that always happens. That's why I got the ADHD thing going on. Max is gonna go back to this town. He's gonna talk to the mayor or the town council or something um to find out if they know anything about him. Um, you know, supposedly he's so good that he doesn't get caught, right? Except for the fact that he got into Enchanted Lands because he was being caught, but eventually caught up with him. But I have to think. Well, okay, is anybody going to be able to catch up? I mean, would he advertise his next? Would he advertise his next location, his next show? Uh, if he would, if he wants people to watch it, but would he do that um, when he's stolen from that town? In other words, am I going to tell them where I'm going to be next if I'm stealing their money? Because they might eventually find it. But maybe that's the point. Maybe that's what got him caught the last time. Maybe eventually people caught on. So maybe it's real easy for him to move on to a new city and nobody thinks of him as being the thief. Um, Technically, it's Corvus that's doing the work, but he's telling them to do it, and he's so good that they don't notice that their purses or their valuables are gone until after he's gone. But when several people kind of get suspicious about this magician guy, Or would he not? Because he's a traveling, it's a traveling show, right? Or maybe it looks suspicious because he's putting on a show of magic when they live in a world of magic. I'm not sure. See, that's the thing. That's the thing I have to come up with. It's the only reason I'm mentioning this though, about it sort of sounds like complaining, which I'm not exactly, is the fact that it's not a detail that I gloss over. It's not like a main point I gloss over. This is the thing that's an important thing, right? So I'm thinking, well, is Corvus good enough that no one would even suspect him, especially being a magician, right? Would they even want a magician show? Even though they live in a world that has magic in it. This is the thing I'd asked ChatGPT or Grok, one of the two. I'd asked the AI before. Maybe I should go ahead and do that again. I mean, we got this. I'm using it as a tool. I'm trying not to copy all the ideas it gives me, unless it's like super good that you just have to use it. But um, should I go to game summary update? Okay. Let's see. Historical hotel alternatives. Um, um, Maybe I'll stick with this conversation. It doesn't know quite as much, but it can at least reference what's gone on before. Um, are you able to? Okay, it's Friday, October 24th, 2025, 12:20 p.m. Um, are you able to look at past conversations? I ask now. It might be just Grok that does that, but now, but from what's remembered. Um, no, that's okay. I'm mostly, um, like, well, to note it for the current conversation, not that it needs to be stored. Somebody reacted. Reacted? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, see for the chat. That's the whole reason I put it up here so that I can go, or I can refer back to a couple of days or whatever. Okay. So, currently in my game, if I mention it already, Zanzibar the Great, magician, thief, con artist, has just had Corvus steal from the audience, and who happens to be in the audience but Max himself. He's the guy you don't want to mess with. Max has to track him down. But I have a few questions about some logic type of things related. Okay. So the first question I would have is, would he be dumb enough to advertise where he's going next? Wouldn't some people realize they've been stolen from after his show? I mean, that is how Max comes back to the scene of the crime, as it were. It makes you start to feel, okay, let's sink in. He's a kind of magician. Probably yes, but only before he knows he's in trouble. He's used to people being dazzled and not noticing they've been robbed until long after he's gone. Okay, so that is a good logic, I guess. And that's probably what I was thinking originally. So he might announce the next big show or drop flyers about his Tri-Village's magical tour. To him, it's free publicity, confidence bait. No one's ever caught him before. Once Max gets involved and people start realizing they've been robbed, Zanzibar will go underground fast. Uh, uh, would the audience realize they've been stolen from? Yep, after the show. During the performance, they're mesmerized. Plus, Corvus is good at timing the pickpocketing with the big ta-da moments or flash effects. Once they go to pay for a drink, realize the jewelry's missing. Do they notice? By then, Zanzibar's already gone. Maybe the next village, setting up another tent show. That's where the trial starts. He's not chasing Zanzibar randomly. He's interrogating locals, witnesses, maybe even using magic to trace the theft, like a divination spell. Okay. Yeah, he could probably use magic. In fact, he's got his full magic, so that makes him more dangerous than Hubert. So he can actually use some magical. Okay, that's okay. Um, Max is not going to tell anyone. In fact, he's going to like his we got Chutzpah, or I don't even know how you spell Chutzpah. Is it like Chutz or something? I don't know. Moxie. He likes his moxie, right? Uh, what do you call that? Boldness. What word am I looking for? Like moxie or guts or if I even spelled that right. Yes, Spa is exactly right, and you even spelled it correctly. So yeah, Max wouldn't snitch on Zanzibar because deep down he respects the man's gall. Yet he sees the same sort of nerve, the same. Uh, Basically, he's not angry because of the South to South. He's annoyed because someone managed to pull a fast one in his territory. That's a pride bruise, not a wallet one. He'll grin a little, crack his knuckles, and mutter something. He's got guts to give him that, but guts won't save him twice. So yeah, it doesn't advertise where he's going. Uh, um, no, no, I'm still thinking here. Okay, so we're assuming Corvus is so good that no one has a clue that it was him, even after he was just there. And that's the same they got pickpocketed. Whatever may have just happened. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, Max actually will say is a bit smarter than the local populace. Not that they're dumb, but he's a bit more attuned to, let's just say, the criminal mind, so to say. He automatically makes the connection. He automatically makes the connection. Max is a genius in that calculating. He's got straight. He can smell hustle even before the guards. All the town's flickers to the house and plotting Max is there. Something that the whole axe thinks of distraction. Maybe. See, it starts the ChatGPT starts inferring stuff, and so it starts injecting things, which is not what I'm thinking. Uh, I'm not saying Max isn't a genius. What I'm saying is he probably is a genius, more than likely. I'm simply saying that Max knows a little bit more, and since he's a villain and a super villain at that, I mean, not super villain in the sense of like superhero, but like a mega villain, like the the big bad guy. He's not just a evil sorcerer. He's kind of a big deal, like a big bad guy. So he knows about being evil, and he knows about the tricks, and he knows about the you know he knows all this stuff, so he can sense it. Yeah, but Max is impressed when he gets there, and that's kind of what I was saying. He's impressed. He's impressed at his chutzpah, his yeah, the gall, the boldness or whatever. And so he was like, you know, but of course, really, Zanzibar doesn't really know everybody in the kingdom, so he doesn't really know that much about Max. So to him, it's just more of a deal. So it's not even that he has the guts to do that. It's not that he's doing that. Although he might at this time, there might be a thing where he knows that Max is running everything. So maybe. Um, I'm still figuring out um, a few things. Um, I've been at this before from other conversations, but um, that it is a magic show. Is a show that uh, uses illusions. Any anything special for an audience that lives in a magic kingdom. I mean, I suppose they could take it as real magic and it's also certainly possible that they perform magic, that someone would perform magic, real magic, in the game, of course. That someone would perform real magic, to wow an audience because maybe they don't see it that often in their day-to-day life. Not sure exactly. When Gandalf comes to the Shire, he's got fireworks. Now, presumably, they're not magical, but there's an idea that there's something special with his fireworks versus, say, a normal person. Maybe there's a bit of magic in them, and that's just an idea that I thought of. There might not be anything special about them. You know, I could see that dragon firework deal, because the way that they show the fireworks, they showed it like a rocket goes up and it does normal firework stuff when it explodes, but then the sparks and stuff organize into this dragon shape and come like swooping down on them. So that would it tell some sort of magic. So very world building savvy. You're right to pause here because I guess what I'm doing here, it's not just that I'm story writing, even and that I am technically making the game, but also I guess I'm world building. So this is part of the world building process, I guess. You know. You're right to pause here because in a world where magic is real, a magician shows then automatically impressive just because it involves magic. It also depends on context, availability, visibility, and it's also a role of magic in daily life. There's a few ways you could angle it. Magic is a mundane world. In this version, it used to be overflowing with magic, filling castles, talking frogs, the works, but these days the spark is fading. Hubert's half-powered, the kingdoms have fallen on hard times, people are nostalgic for old wonder. That could be. The thing that has fallen on hard times has been somewhat recent. In other words, I didn't envision. Now I could make it that way, but I didn't envision like like hundreds of years under the rule of this guy. But you might say it's been a few years. A few years is still probably a long time though too, isn't it? So yeah, I guess that would still kind of work, right? Rolls in with illusions that feel magical and glowing lights, levitating readings, a talking raven. The townsfolk are thrilled. They want to believe it's real. They don't see this as kind of spectacle. They don't see this kind of spectacle anymore. It's like if someone showed up today doing real sleight of hand in a world where everyone just scrolls on magic TikTok. Max Hour would see through it. He knows the true power. Okay, option two, the trickster among the wizards world. Here, magic is real, but not everyone can use it. Yeah, well, that is part of my justification. Part of my justification is that ordinary citizens don't have access to magic, other than maybe some, like I said, the modern conveniences like lights and two-way magic mirrors and things that are that Quicksilver is mostly responsible for. The portals thing too, you know. Um, so so yeah, right. So really, it's only wizards, fairy godmothers, and witches and sorcerers and stuff that use magic, right? The regular townsfolk don't really use magic that much. Zanzibar's okay. He conjures scrolls, fairies handle bureaucracy, witches manage weather permits, that sort of thing. It's functional or bureaucratic. Um, Zanzibar Act is performance. He blends showmanship, illusion, and hint of real spellcraft, not because he needs to, but because he's a ham. He's the Chris Angel of the Enchanted Realm, the kind of guy who casts a glamour on his own teeth just to sparkle it brighter on stage. So the audiences adore him for the style, not the substance. That's probably the good thing. The option 2 is probably the correct thing. It's probably the thing that I was thinking of. Unlicensed magic kingdom. Channellands, maybe public spell casting is restricted for safety or because of the king's paranoia. That would make Zanzibar show dangerous, illicit, and thrilling. He's not just a magician, he's a magical outlaw, skirting the edges of the law, applause, and a few stolen coins. So when Max spots him, it's not just, hey, I've been robbed. It's how did this idiot get away with performing actual magical spells in my kingdom? You know what? I never thought about that aspect. You know, I wasn't thinking about that. Because so he comes in. Okay, so this is what happens, right? So it's thriving. It's a tourist resort. Ridiculously wealthy, of course. Not as mere mortals get to go there, but so that's my water bottle. Okay. So okay. So here's the rundown, right? So everything's going swimmingly, and then you hear rumors of this guy coming back, the guy that was banished, but they don't know if any of it's true. It's still just rumor. And Hebert notices the king's acting weird. Why is he acting weird? And then this new guy named Maximilian comes up, and he looks kind of familiar. He doesn't know what it is yet. Now, obviously, you could probably find out with the names. But I might still need to change the name. They're kind of um, the names are they're kind of cringy. I guess they're kind of dumb, right? Maximilian spells in his last name. What person would have spell in their last name, even if they were a wizard? I mean, it sounds dumb to me when I listen to it. Uh, but that's his name right now. But he comes in as Maximilian's. So Maximilian spell. There's not that much of a it's not that much of a stretch to realize the names are the same guy, right? And what was I getting off on the name thing? Oh, I was just telling you what happens when he comes in. So he comes in, Maximilian's comes in, this new guy that looks familiar, that has a name similar to Maximilian Spell. Maximilians, that sort of thing, which should be a dead giveaway. Even if he disguised himself, Hubert should be able to pick on it a little bit. But okay, we'll say either I change the names later or he doesn't pick up on it because maybe he's obtuse or something. I don't know. Okay, so Max comes in. He makes a deal with the king, who's not acting like himself. He's almost acting like another person. And the king sells him Enchanted Lands for, it sells him Enchanted Lands, basically. Okay, so now Maximilian owns his company, Enchanted Holdings Limited, owns Enchanted Lands now. It no longer is owned by the king, or actually, I don't even know how that works. If it was owned by the people or whatever, or maybe it wasn't. I don't know. Anyways, now the resort, we'll say it's in it's in possession of the crown. So the crown, the authority, the government are the guys that own the kingdom. Okay, so we'll say it like that. Basically, so the king sells Max Enchanted Lands. So what does he do? He starts closing things down, and then not only that, people start disappearing, and just the dragons. Now, you come for a vacation to be a knight, so you can slay a dragon, right? So you can say you slayed a dragon, or so you can have the experience, And usually it's using magic, and usually you're not actually really killing the dragons. They all do this for the benefit of the guest. So, but right now they're actually acting like real dragons. They're going and they're burning down villages, and they're taking. I don't know if they're taking maidens or whatever. Maybe they're taking sheep. Maybe they take some sheep from um, Leperton. Okay. Anyways, so they're acting mean. They're acting like their basal kind of self. They're not acting nice, and they're acting like really like what they do when they act during the vacation for the guests. So they're really burning down villages and taking things and wreaking all kinds of mayhem. And then, so then he starts closing down the schools. Okay, so he goes to night school. He starts putting soldiers in there, and they start training. He doesn't close that school down, but now they're training with real weapons. It's not an enchanted weapon that you can't hurt yourself. It's a simulated deal. Now it's the real deal. So they're really training with weapons. It stays open. Fairy God College has stuff going on in it, and generally speaking, it's closed, but they're still doing stuff, right? Um, but they're not really taking new recruits either. Well, actually, that's not true. Okay, so going over to was it Princess Prep? Oh yeah. Okay, so this is part of the story here. Okay, so uh, Princess Prep has been closed, and there's a note on the door uh, that states that they're doing a new, like, this new feature, this new what am I doing? New service? I don't know. Forget it. But where they're telling them if they a new class, I guess, new class. I can think of it. There's a new class or something. There's a new um dang it, what word am I looking? How come whenever I want a certain word that comes naturally, easily any other time, but this time it just goes right through my skull, and out through one ear and out the other, whatever. Just goes right out of my head. Um. Anyways, so say um, it's a new deal where they're telling princesses, vacation princesses, for instance, there's still a trickle of people coming into Enchanted Lands. Um, maybe less now, but in the beginning, Max wanted a bunch of tourists to come in. Um, but now it's more like a trickle, and so what it is if you decide to go to Princess Prep and Princess Prep is closed, there's a note on the door saying they have a new. Um, what am I looking for? It's not a class. It's not a process. It's not a project. What am I looking for? I guess I could look at my notes. But anyways, it's a new thing where they're saying that they're going to take all the vacation princesses and they're going to train them a little bit, and they're going to a new thing. So to come over to Fairy God College for this new deal. So when they do that, then they're captured. They're brought into Fairy God College, and Fairy God College is closed. But it's clear that there are people in there, and okay, so I'm doing this from the standpoint that you don't know everything that's going on, or if you haven't watched any of my other stuff or me talk about it, whatever. So I'm going about that. So you don't know what's happening. Fairy God College is closed, but there's clearly people doing stuff in there, and um, what was I saying this for? Spellcasting is restricted for safety. Well, anyways, yeah. So he closes everything down, and so now there's trouble in Enchanted Lands. Okay. So all I was gonna say was that I didn't think of the fact that maybe he would forbid magic from being, you know, non-professional magic, right? Post spell casting is restricted. I didn't even think about doing that, and this is one of the things where I might go ahead and take ChatGPT's suggestion here, because that's kind of right. That kind of would be how it would work, because Max is actually abducting people for his mines, right? He doesn't want would be magicians, amateurs, whatever, non-vetted guys doing magic in his realm. So that's even why he's Okay, but in order to do that, though, I still have to. It's kind of like I have to retcon it into the story, not in the way of taking something completely changing it around, but I have to add in some stuff that support this idea now that most people you can't do yet unlicensed magic. Option one makes Zanzibar nostalgic and theatrical, reminder of better days. Option two makes him flamboyant and clever, a performer among professionals. Uh, Option three makes him dangerous and rebellious, a symbol of resistance. Okay, so it's not really fading. The magic isn't really fading. That could have been an aspect that I could have did too. You know, once people stopped coming, maybe the magic is dying because of what's going on. I mean, that adds an extra layer, adds that extra layer of complexity, which means I'd have to go back through every story beat and I'd have to incorporate something about the magic dying. In other words, the flying trains, maybe they don't quite work right anymore. You know, maybe a lot of them come crashing down because of that. So, and considering the way I'm doing things, the magic's not diminished. So that's not going to happen probably. Um, Tightly controlled is a possibility, though. Tightly controlled is if I was thinking of ways that I could make sure that my plans don't get thwarted, I might restrict public magic. Hmm. Okay, so there's a thing here, and it's almost 10 till, so I'm almost about ready to call it a day. So there's a thing here. I didn't think of the fact that Max might want to restrict uh, public spell casting. Um, that's a fair point. Let's see, especially if he wants to make sure his plan works this time. However, um, if Zanzibar is doing a big show, how would he get away with it as it would probably get great word of mouth? Because I didn't think about that, you know. Somebody's making this big show, of course Max is going to show up. You know, of course the authorities are going to show up, whatever, if it's restricted. So if it's not restricted, then there's something else. Nice juicy problem. I give Max something to follow. Mixing them is the most interesting, and a couple quick scene beat ideas. Legal loophole: performance art. He registers as a theatrical performer, not a spellcaster. The ordinance forbids unsanctioned spellcasting, but allows theatrical illusions and stage pyrotechnics under a permit. He leans heavily on pageantry and showmanship to make mere illusion look impossibly real. Tiny subtle glamours under the radar. Uh, Small short-lived spells. They don't register as full public spellcasting, are easy to mask. The kind of spells low-level enchanters teach street performers look magical, but leave almost no trace. Bribed, cut minor official. A local clerk or constable looks the other way for a cut of the profits for free front row seats. The Count's Motel or other venues might have patrons who grease the wheels so the show keeps happening. Private property, semi-official venues. He performs in private courtyards, motel back rooms, Guild halls or caravans where the king's law is harder to enforce or where the law is deliberately lax. A touring troupe can call a performance private engagement while still attracting a crowd. Hire a wizard. Zanzibar hires a few small-time off-book spellcasters and apprentices who don't register magic publicly. He pays them well enough to keep quiet. They do the flashy bit, he takes the credit and the pockets. Trickery and stagecraft, no real spells. He is a real sleight of hand artist, which he is. Trapdoors, mirrors, smoke, covers as practical pickpocket. Is a practice pickpocket. The crowd wants to believe it's magic, so they do. This is the con artist vibe best. Real skill, fake, and mystique. Yeah. No, that is correct. That is what he is. In fact, he's supposed to be a really good one. I mean, other than the fact that he almost got caught, he did get caught and he was running from the police. But the idea is he's so good that eventually they eventually catch up to him anyways. From wizards are together, he hits conventions, wizard fairs, or retreats where spellcasting is tolerated and slips into real enchanted lands with them. Makes possible legal cover. Distraction is law forbids dangerous or mass spellcasting. Story with hooks and traces. Corvus feathers, signature prop. Glamour after effects. Bribes, permit stub, witness pattern. Okay. Yeah. Actually, okay. No thanks. Still thinking. We have a traveling wizards convention. So presumably there are still practitioners. Unless they're specifically licensed. No public exhibitions of magic without permit. A practitioner's permit. However, you're right about him being great at sleight of hand. Remember, he's from our world, and his shows are always illusion. But showmanship, so many jobs in the word. The permit system exists specifically because real spellcasting and dangerous illusions are rare. The audiences haven't seen sleight of hand before. They think every trick must be magic. So Zanzibar is in a twisted way the most honest magician in Enchanted Lands. Max, the one guy who knows us all smoke and mirrors. Okay. So we still have the problem of how Zanzibar can get away with doing this under the eyes of the law, so to speak. Of course, like you said, bribery. Or maybe just Z doesn't know the law or rules, and that's what brings Max to his show anyways. In fact, most of the villagers wouldn't know if he has a permit or not. Although maybe they're supposed to. Yeah, you know what? I just thought of that too. Maybe he's supposed to have a permit, right? For anything like that. He goes to them and then he bribes the officials to let him perform the show. Um, I also thought of another way, and that is most of the city councils, mayors, and whatnot wouldn't allow him unless he had a permit. But then maybe he bribes them. So he keeps getting away with it. But in so doing, Max hears about it, so he goes to show. Okay, that actually kind of ties in. That actually kind of helps things. And it's about 1 o'clock, and I have to quit now. Paying petty official, buying a forged permit, greasing the venue owner, corrupt inspector. Yeah, in fact, you could do all these things. Why Barbary is good fiction. Breadcrumbs. Max can follow. World's Rot. Yeah, Tempting and Choices. Escalation. NPC hooks. Ledger entry. Coin roll. Receipt. 2 scene beats you can drop in ready-made. Permit stub. Forger's trace. Here's the rumors. No thanks. My time is up today, but this is a good start. Which will help me with this tracking story beat. Thanks. I'll see you tomorrow. Talk to you later. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and write this in here though, real quick. Not that thing, this thing. Okay. So basically, Max restricts public spellcasting, because he doesn't want to be blindsided by some rogue wizard to stop his plans. This way he can register all practicing wizards and regulate it and know who all is performing magic, even illicit kind. Even the illicit kind. There we go. Wait. Okay, what am I spelling wrong here? Oh, IT, of course. Even the illicit kind. So Zanzibar doesn't really know the rules, but when he sets up his first major show, They tell him they need a... They tell him he needs a permit, and then he usually just bribes them in one way or another. Eventually, word gets to Max that someone is performing public displays of magic, and then goes to investigate, watching one of his shows. And then he leaves. He's gonna leave. He's gonna automatically like grab him, I think. Yeah, he's gonna leave, and then he's gonna realize his he remarks to an assistant to take note while he goes and tries to find any information about this guy. Okay, so he's going to go find some information. He's going to go into the archives, and he's going to just see if there is anybody that they're tracking, anything in the history, maybe something to do with the external realms, if there's any information about this guy. When he's on his way back to the castle, he realizes his coin purse was gone, which makes him want to go and find him again. Okay, so we're just gonna save it there, and I'm gonna count that a day. I know I didn't actually get the thing done. We're still building the world. We're still building the story. I don't care. This is part of the game. Whether or not I actually continue to do live streaming or not, I might just continue to do it. I might just do it and keep doing it. And so what if it's slow? So what if I didn't get a bunch of viewers and subscribers? Because eventually I will. Eventually I'll get it done. I'll still try to find ways of speeding it up and not taking so long. And maybe I'll do a thing where I start allowing myself some offline development, and then when I come back to my stream the next time, whatever that is, then I can do a like a recap. Like I can do, and then I could also probably I can probably even go with you some of the thought processes that I went through, because I'll have remembered them. So maybe that. Maybe I'll do some external offline, like at night or something, or if I ever find I have some time, extra time, that I'm not doing this, I'm not doing other stuff, then maybe what I'll do is I'll record those sessions. I won't stream those sessions. I'll just record them so that I actually still have the things for that. And then when I return to my stream the next time, I'll I'll show it. I'll show the progress I made on the story, and I'll show what I went through. Anyways, thanks for watching part 1, and I will see you in about an hour. Thank you for watching part 1.